Okay everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video on GT7. Today we are going to be talking about something different on Gran Turismo 7 while taking on a daily race C. So you may have noticed with this week's daily race C, we have something very new for a daily race. We have heavy damage on for a daily race. Now we're going to be talking about whether this is good or bad, and I think your perspective on this really depends on the level of driver you are and what level you're racing at, because I think it's unfair to say this is a good change for everyone. So let's jump into this daily race C. It's a standing start, it's at Autopolis and it's in a road car. The settings are not particularly great for this combo. I think PD could have put a lot more effort into this race. So my opinion on this race isn't based on the car and the track, it's more to do with the settings that they've used with regards to the lack of tyre wear, no strategy, and it's going to lead to probably some chaotic driving in lower lobbies where people are going to get desperate to overtake. But yeah, standing start, top lobbies, the race is okay at the start in general because most people, the majority of the time, will be reasonably clean in this race. So going into turn one, we go a little bit deep into this corner and run a little bit on the curb. Now I try and defend this, but I defend it too late and I end up blocking off Villa slightly, so I have to give him that position back. So I lift off the throttle, let him take that position and let him go back down the inside because it was a little bit wrong. I saw it late and it was my fault 100%. So we give him that position. Unfortunately though, he did pick up half a second penalty, so now I'm going to have to make sure that he keeps that P1 when he gets to the penalty zone. So we're going to give him a little bit of a gap when we eventually come around to the penalty zone, and also make sure we lift to make sure he keeps that position, because I didn't want him to lose it. I wanted to race fair, and yeah, we did not want to gain a position because of that move. So we're going to make sure he keeps that P1. But yeah, my opinion of this heavy damage versus damage off for daily races is quite a hard one. I think it's unfair to claim that damage being on heavy is a good thing for Gran Turismo daily races. Now I'll say why, because I think not every race has got A+ and S rank drivers in. To have that viewpoint, you're not taking into consideration that drivers on this game are also B rank and racing in lower lobbies where the driving is not as respectable as it is in top lobbies. As we let Villa take that penalty C, lifting off the throttle, making sure he gets back into P1, and now we can race properly and get on with this race and actually have a good battle with Villa from here. So we actually have quite a fun race in this one, in fairness. The problem is for me, this race, yeah, it's not the most entertaining for. The overtaking opportunities are quite low. It's quite close racing, but whether that makes it fun, I don't know. But yeah, as I was saying, with regards to people's ranks, not everyone is a high rank driver. Some drivers are in B lobbies, C lobbies. Whether you've got heavy damage on or not, there's going to be people who just drive crazy and don't care about heavy damage, and they're going to ruin the racing for the drivers that do want to race fair. Because the problem is, if you've got one or two drivers that don't care and they pinball everyone into everyone else, because of contact physics on Gran Turismo, everyone picks up damage and nearly everyone's race is ruined in that lobby. Because let's be clear about this, damage and contact physics on Gran Turismo are not the greatest thing ever. If you play iRacing, you'll see how contact physics can be done much better. They've really improved their contact physics recently on iRacing, and I can see why, you know, you have heavy damage on that game, and I can see why you have DNFs, because it works on that game, because crash physics are really good. On Gran Turismo, it takes one driver to miss a braking zone, hit the car in front, that car will then hit another car in front of him, who will then hit another car in front of him, who will then hit another car in front of him, purely because there's no physics involved with the crash physics to absorb impact. It just pinballs everyone off. And yeah, in lower lobbies, I don't think this is going to be a pleasant experience for everyone. But this is just my personal take. I want to know in the comment section from you lot, do you have a similar experience in these lower lobbies? Because I don't get to race in them all the time. Although I am going to show you some footage now of some footage that we got from last night in a top lobby in the US lobby, which is actually A+ and A rank drivers. And there was some crazy driving going on there. And it does show you the problem that you're going to get, even, you know, with heavy damage on, it's going to still happen. So here we are on the American account on a daily race C. It's actually A+ and A mainly in this race, and we're going to witness a driver. We've not shown the name because we don't want to give them any sort of notoriety, so we're going to just show you what their driving was like. This was only a few of the clips as well. It was a lot worse than this, but I refuse to show it on my channel. I'm actually just going to upload the clips directly to someone who can send them through to PD and hopefully have something done about this driver. So yeah, you can see here that he's going to take us, myself out again. That's me on the right. He takes me out here. He just completely swipes us. But this isn't the worst of it. There was a lot worse takeout. Someone actually got revenge for us here. He saw what happened and took him out as well. So the crazy driving isn't going to stop on dailies just because you've got heavy damage on. You see another one here on another driver, he just goes straight into the side of him with no respect. This made me laugh though when he tries to take out this driver and completely misses. It's quite entertaining because Hellfire sees him coming, and yes, he's just missed completely. So not the best at taking out, so I'm sure there'll be better examples that you'll see throughout the week from different lobbies. But this is going to happen. People are still going to drive crazy. It's not going to change people's way of driving all the time. If you've got a dirty driver, they're still probably going to drive very, very dirty in these races. So you are going to still get races ruined. And the bad thing is, the innocent parties are going to be the ones affected by the heavy damage. Now, I personally don't mind heavy damage being on in top lobbies because, let's be honest, most drivers that we come across in the EU on top split, if you want to race at the front, are pretty clean. You're not going to come across too many bad circumstances, so it probably will improve the racing in the very top lobbies. If they could do something like they do with the GT World Series, like a tier system, so that depending on the lobby you are, it's dependent on whether heavy damage is on, I think that could possibly work. It might be an option to do something like that and actually make it so that, you know, lower lobbies, so like D, C and B, maybe don't have the heavy damage on. I think that would be an advisable way of doing it, because at the moment I feel like this might put off some casual drivers from racing, because some people want to jump on for a bit of fun and they don't want to get their races completely ruined on lap 1 because there's a driver in there that just doesn't want you to race. So yeah, it's interesting that they tried this. I credit 100% to PD and Gran Turismo for giving this a go and trying it out. I think it could possibly work in certain circumstances, and I think it does kind of work sometimes in the GT World Series, although we have seen that it still isn't perfect in that scenario. So yeah, contact physics is something that for the next game, I really hope, if they're going to go with this heavy damage route, they need to get the contact physics better. A perfect example is take a look at iRacing's on their newer content that they release with how the contact physics work on that. It's really, really good. I definitely recommend people check that out as well with some of the crash physics on that game. It seems to be able to cope with little contact. It doesn't spin people out. It doesn't pinball people off with minor contact. But, you know, heavy damage does result in, you know, race over damage. So it is interesting. I like that they've given it a go. I'm not saying that this combo is a total disaster. I think that the heavy damage on is worth a try. The standing start was interesting to try that on, but the fact that you've got no strategy involved, it's just a race of 7-lap sprint race basically, and you're putting pressure on people to make moves, but you're expecting them to also then no contact at all. So it is quite a risky move that they've done with this daily race. I mean, we have a brilliant race here with Villa, which we're going to talk about now. But yeah, that's just my opinion on it. Let me know in the comments what you lot think. I think it's possible, but I think it depends on your ranking of your driver to say whether this is a great change or, you know, not so great change. Because I think it would be disrespectful for me as an A+ driver to say, yeah, this is a brilliant change for everyone because my lobbies are great, when in general my lobbies are probably the minority of lobbies when it comes to how clean the racing is. 90% of lobbies are probably nothing like these top split lobbies. So I think it'd be extremely disrespectful to start saying that this change is perfect for the game, because I really don't think it is. But let's get on with this race. We're chasing down Villa now in front of us. We can see we're on lap 4. We're trying to put him under some pressure. We've managed to get quite a comfortable gap to P3 there. And now we can start battling a little bit with Villa at this stage, because we've got that gap built up. So once you've got a gap on this, you can start fighting, because when you start fighting, your lap times are going to start going slow. You can see we're doing pretty consistent lap times at this stage of the race. 204.4 to, you know, low 204s at this stage of the race is pretty competitive. And we've built that gap up to around 3 seconds. So now that we've got that 3-second gap, we can start focusing on, you know, battling and trying to get this P1 off Villa. But this is a very hard combination. In general, it's a very hard track to go for overtakes. You've got an opportunity into this corner, but the problem is you've come from a high-speed corner, so you have a little look here, and you can't. We just can't send it because we're too far back. So we're just going to take it safe and just see if we can find another way of getting past Villa in this combo. I mean, it is a good thing we're in a car like this, because the overtaking is a little bit more, you know, it's an option in a car like this. If it was anything high downforce, this race would have been the most static race you could ever consider. It would have been just, you know, whoever starts in P1, that's it. And even in this race, I would say in top lobbies, it's going to be extremely difficult to make a move. You're going to have to try and work cars side to side. That's one thing I would say, is the best way to get overtakes on this track is to try and work the car in front from one side of the track to the other side of the track by, you know, pushing them, making them think you're going to go for a move. It's the only way you really can get a move done on here, by, you know, wrong footing them and getting that exits from the corners. This corner in particular is a really important corner to try and get a very strong exit. You can see that Villa was very, very strong out of this corner. Here we get a really good exit, and this is going to be maybe an opportunity and overtake. So you can see we're going to get into that slipstream. Slipstream is not the strongest in this car for obvious reasons, because it's not high aero, so you're not going to gain massive amounts on the straight. So we're going to have a little look up the inside. We're going to make him think we're going to go for the move, but I'm going to brake early so that he brakes later. So we're going to try and wrong foot him now. So you can see what we've done there. We've wrong footed him into the corner. Now I've gone for that good exit, and now you can see I've got the drive to think about going for the overtake. So Villa knows my fake moves. He's going to have that inside covered. So we're going to go down the left-hand side and try and hang it round the outside. Now this is absolutely brilliant driving. Both of us side by side through there, and there was no contact. That was just a little snap of the rear. There was no actual contact there. And again, we're going to try and get down the left hand side again and try and wrong foot him into this corner to see if we can then cut back and go back up the inside. But again, we get that better exit, but it's just not enough to really get the move done. And you can see we are losing a little bit of lap time at this stage because obviously we're fighting. But like I say, we've got nearly a 3-second lead to P3, so we can comfortably battle and still hold on to either P1 or P2. So it is quite fun when you're battling like this. It was quite intense, this race at this point. You know, we're having a little look for an inside move, and it is quite enjoyable to have races like this. But I do think some tyre wear, or, you know, a little bit of compulsory pit stop with tyre wear could have been interesting in this race. Or even another thing that I said would have been having, similar to the Fuji race in Nations, where there was static weather at one point of the track on the last few laps, could have really brought in a bit of an interesting battle at the end, because this track does have dynamic weather, or even full dynamic weather, because sports soft tyres will cope with intermediate tyres. You wouldn't even need to pit. It would just bring a little bit of an interesting end to the race. So yeah, it could have just done with something to spice in this race up a little bit. I don't dislike the car. I don't totally dislike the track. I actually quite like driving this track as a time trialing track. I just don't think the racing is always that great at this combo. I think to create a 7-lap race with this car at this track with no strategy was just always going to end up with a dead race by the end of the week. I predict by Thursday, Friday, this race will be pretty quiet. It won't have many top drivers in it. It'll be pretty dead. And yeah, that's my prediction. We'll wait and see if that happens, but I'm pretty sure it won't be anywhere near as competitive as Daytona week, for example, where overtaking is possible. It had strategy in there, and it was an interesting combo. Yes, it was in Group 3, and I agree, Group 3 and Group 4 are overused on Gran Turismo. I'm 100% with you. I like that they tried a road car here, because I like driving road cars. I find them fun to drive on Gran Turismo. They're really entertaining, but the overall settings for this race didn't really quite match what they were trying to achieve with the heavy damage, in my personal opinion. But yeah, we can see at this stage here, we're coming up to the last 2 laps. We're still fighting. We're still keeping that gap. It's quite interesting. We're keeping a gap. Even with fighting, me and Villa here, we're losing lap time. You can see the last lap was still 6-7 tenths off what we should be doing. And we're still keeping the gap to the cars behind, even though we're battling. So we're doing really well at fighting and maintaining pace in this race. And it was quite an enjoyable battle, this, with Villa. We're trying everything we can, and Villa is driving extremely well with his defensive drive, and he's holding the right lines. He's keeping the car strong on the exits where you need to. He's really just basically driving the perfect race for defending, because as long as you do that on this track, if you've got someone who knows how to defend, you're going to find it pretty much impossible to pass them, because all they have to do is just hold that inside line, get good exits, hold the inside line again, and you're going to find it in a car like this where you can't really brake late. Like, for example, in GT3 cars, you have a bit of downforce. You can really go for a late brake and try and, you know, go up the inside. But in cars like this, you've got to hit that brake point, because if you miss it, this car will not slow down. Again there, Villa holding that very tight line. You could see what I was trying to do. I was trying to wrong foot him into the corner so we could then go round and try and get round the outside of him through there. But again, he's very wise to it. He knows what we're trying to do, and he's driving very smart here. And Villa is a very quick driver at this track. I remember from the Group 4 race we had here, he was also very quick around this track then. But yeah, I was pretty happy with my pace round here, to be fair. Our race pace, our qualifying pace, everything seems to be pretty good. Like, especially like road cars, they aren't my strongest cars. I love driving them, but in general my pace isn't brilliant. But yeah, we had pretty good pace. You can see we've gapped the cars behind, even though we're battling. We're on to the final lap now, and you can see we lost a bit more time on lap 6 there with the battling. But now we're going to try and do everything we can on this final lap to see if we can get a move done. Is it even going to be possible? You can see having a little look up the inside there, but again, I can't send it from that far back. You know, to make a send, you have to be basically side by side. You can't do it from a 10th back in a car like this where it just doesn't have the brakes. So again, purple sector through the first sector, getting turn 1 done quite nicely. And now we're going to, again, just try and get a really good exit. This corner is really important to get a good exit from. You can see Villa making sure he gets that done on the exit there, making sure he gets that power down. And again, into this long left-hand corner, just trying to bite it into the apex, use 3rd gear, then back up to 4th gear for a bit of acceleration as we come out the exit there into 4th gear. And now, again, a bit too far behind to really consider an overtake or, an option for an overtake again here. So we can't really go for a move. So we're just going to play it safe, get on them brakes and try and rotate it into this corner. And it's all going to come down to the last sector. If I can just try and get close to him, maybe he'll make a little bit of a mistake on the last lap with a bit of pressure. That's all we can really hope for at this stage, is a mistake from him to really get this P1 from him. So into this right-hand corner again. Little bit of a slide going in there, staying in 4th gear. He has a little bit of a moment there. That's going to give us a very, very good chance of getting close to him through this corner. You can see again, can we try and wrong foot him through here again? But again, watch, he'll keep that really tight line. We're going to try and go around the outside and then try and get a stronger exit from the corner from that wider angle. But again, it isn't going to work. It's just not, it's not really got the power to make these moves work, this car. So again, back behind him and then into the final sector. Good clean racing though, have to say. Fun battle for this daily race, probably the best race I had on here throughout the day. It was really good fun, and we managed to pull away even with fighting like this. It was really entertaining stuff. So yeah, great race from that in that one, Villa. I enjoyed that, and let me know in the comment section what you lot think about what we're talking about with the damage. Like I say, I'm open to it for top lobbies. I just don't think it's fair on everyone who races Gran Turismo. I think lower lobbies, it's going to suffer, and they're going to probably have their game affected in a negative way. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think it's going to change the behaviour of other drivers in B, C ranked drivers. I think they'll still carry on driving the way they were, and it's the innocent drivers that will get affected by it. So yeah, I'm interested to know your perspective on that. Feel free to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and I'll see you for more videos in the future. Thanks again for watching, everyone.